What's going on? Hashtag Burritos Nation. It's your boy Jacob here, and today very excited because it is the day of the special Friday night AEW Dynamite that's happening tonight. It has not happened at the point of this recording. I don't know when I'm going to be uploading this. Hopefully at some point today I'll be uploading this. But we do have, in fact, this weekend, this Sunday, AEW Double or Nothing, the 2-year anniversary of the first show in AEW's All Elite Wrestling's existence. And of course, I got myself my AEW World Championship belt. If you guys have not seen my honest review of Mayan Belts' AEW World Championship, you should go ahead and check it out. It's my latest video. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous belt. Not very good customer service, so I can't say I would necessarily promote buying the belts, but if you go by the actual quality of the actual belt itself, it is a beautiful, gorgeous belt. So, and I do love it. So yes, it is one of my favorite belts still, although the customer service is not great. But anyways, this video is about AEW All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing card, the third Double or Nothing ever, and we are bringing fans all the way back. Over 5,000 fans that are going to be in Daly's Place, and it'll be the last of the Daly's Place pay-per-views in the pandemic until it looks like in Chicago we're going to be having All Out if things go well. So yeah. But anyways, we have ourselves 10 matches on this card. We have 1 for the buy-in and 9 for the main card. And we're going to go over it, and I'm going to be going with my predictions and talking a little bit about how things got to this point in these matches. All right, anyways, we have the buy-in. Super, super happy that we still have the NWA has a little bit of a partnership with AEW. It's looking like it's just the women's division at the moment, but the women's division does need help in AEW. They got some very good talent. It's just, I don't think, for some reason, whatever reason, TNT is not that fond of using the women, which is unfortunate. So I don't think it's AEW's fault at all. But I don't have the women's championship, but I do have the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship right here. So yeah. All right, so we do have in the buy-in, very excited for this match. It's going to be an awesome match. One of the best women's wrestlers in the world, both of them are. Serena Deeb, the NWA Women's World Champion, versus Riho, the first ever AEW Women's World Champion. So this is going to be a fantastic match. They wrestled each other up in the whatchamacallit, in the the Women's Championship Tournament, I believe. And it was a fantastic match. I can't remember. Did Riho win that? And that's how she's gotten this opportunity? I'm trying to remember, but I believe they did face each other in the tournament. And I believe Riho went on in that matchup. I could be wrong. I don't know. All right, but anyways, who do I think is going to win this match? I do think Serena Deeb's going to be retaining because of the storyline in the NWA for NWA Power. For those of you that don't know, I do watch NWA's product as well, and they have a storyline going on with Camille and Thunder Rosa, where there was a 20-minute draw. It was a fantastic match, and I think that we're going to have Serena Deeb defending at their next pay-per-view when Shadows Fall, June 6th, I believe it is, if I remember correctly, and it's going to be Camille versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's World Championship, unless they make it a triple threat, since there was a 20-minute time limit draw. But Camille was the #1 contender before that draw. All right, but anyways, I would love to see Camille show up in this match or after the match and attack Serena Deeb. That would be pretty cool. But yes, I do think Serena Deeb is going to be coming out as still the NWA Women's World Champion and defeating Riho. And hopefully Riho stays here for a lot longer than she's been doing. I know the pandemic is tough and she lives in Japan, but man, if it were up to me, of course, this is up to her, obviously. I would love for her to live in America and be full-time for AEW. All right, but anyways, and next we have Darby Allin and Sting, and it's Sting's first in-ring, not a cinematic match in 6 years, which is crazy to think of. So, I mean, when they announced this was definitely not going to be a cinematic match. Sorry, it's really hot in here, guys. But when they announced that, I was like, dude, this may, I thought maybe there's a possibility for AEW to actually not have a good match on the pay-per-view card because all their matches are fantastic. But then I was like, you know what? I'm glad he is 61. He's not going to be able to go the same as the other guys, but I'm glad if they are going to have him in a regular match, it is a tag match where Darby can do a lot of the work. So I do see, this is definitely not going to be a 5-star match. It would be crazy if it ended up being that way. But Darby Allin and Sting versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, the face of the Revolution. I think Darby obviously is going to be doing a lot of the work here. There's going to be a hot tag from Sting, but Darby's going to be getting his butt kicked, I think, a lot at some point. And I'm doing the bold prediction here. I was thinking the other way, and a lot of people I think are thinking Darby or Sting are going to win, but I'm going to be going with what I think personally is a bold prediction here, and I think that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky are going to get one of the biggest wins of their careers. I mean, if you beat a legend in Sting, that's one of the biggest wins in your careers. So Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, I believe, are going to be defeating Darby Allin and Sting. Personally, if I had to choose, I would have made this a cinematic match, but let's see how Sting can go. All right. So I think that, yeah. All right, now we got the Casino Battle Royale, which is one of my favorite matches AEW does. I love the rules in this where they have the 4 suites, the kings, queens, the spades and the hearts or whatever. I can't think straight. I don't play cards. But anyways, they come out 5 at a time, 4 different sets, and then there's 20 out there. And then we have the Joker card at the end after a certain amount of time. And it's always a surprise, and I really like that about AEW. So I'm going to be telling you the participants and who I think is going to win and who I think the special guest surprise is going to be. So, and the special thing, also, Paul White is going to be on commentary for this with Tony Schiavone, JR, and Excalibur. All right, so Casino Battle Royale, the 20 participants that are announced, we have Christian Cage. I love Christian Cage. I'd love for him to win this. Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Evil Uno, 10, Colt Cabana, Jungle Boy, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, Penta El Cero Miedo, and The Blade. So first of all, who am I thinking is going to be the 21st and final participant, the Joker? I think Paul White's going to be it, guys. Like you might not believe me here, but I truly do think. I personally would pick someone else. I think it'd be a nice shocker still with Paul White, even though I'd prefer it to be someone that's more full time. But I'm going to be going with Paul White as the number 21 as the Joker to show. He's going to stand up from his desk after the buzzer goes off for the Joker, and it's going to be Paul White as number 21. Do I think he's going to win, though? No. I don't think he's going to win, but it'll be pretty cool, though, seeing Paul White in the ring again. See him debut for AEW, if that does, in fact, happen. All right, so who do I think is going to win out of these 21 competitors? That's a tough one. Man, there's so many different great wrestlers in here. I am going to be going with... Man, would they do Christian Cage already? I don't know, or would they wait that for a pay-per-view? This is a tough one, man. I am going to go with Penta, maybe? I don't think it's going to be any of the tag wrestlers. Let me look at this very closely because I didn't think of this ahead of time. I am going to be going with... I was originally going to say Christian Cage, but I think they're going to wait on that. I'm going to be going with, and I'm really excited about this if this does happen, because it shows what AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation can do for a wrestler getting that opportunity. Powerhouse Hobbs is going to become the new #1 contender for this AEW World Championship and facing whoever the champion is at the end of Double or Nothing. So I think that'd be fantastic to see Powerhouse Hobbs get a shot at the AEW World Championship. My arm's getting tired. This is a heavy belt, guys. If you don't know, it's 11 pounds. I don't think I said that in my review. It's 11 pounds. All right, so yes, Casino Battle Royale. I'm going with Paul White, the Joker, and the winner, Powerhouse Hobbs. All right, we're already 9 minutes into this video. I've only done like 3 matches. That's crazy. All right, and then we have next match. We have the American Dream for one night only. The American Dream, Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo. Some people might think it's controversial, his promo. I thought it was a wonderful promo and it made me actually a little emotional. But I'm not necessarily taking sides here. I also thought, if you guys have watched, I believe it was AEW Dark Elevation, Anthony Gogo made some good points about what's bad about America as well, which is actually true. I personally love both promos. So I'm not taking sides on the promos there. I really do really enjoyed Cody's promo, and I also really enjoyed Anthony Gogo's promo. So, and a lot of people are saying, oh man, don't do the country versus country promos, are so outdated. I mean, if you do it over and over again, like WWE has or other companies, then it's kind of dumb. But this is the first time AEW done it. I don't think that they plan on doing this over and over, forever and ever. So I'm okay with them doing the USA versus UK this one time. And obviously, Gogo's the heel, attacking Cody and saying the bad things about the UK, but on the other hand, he makes some great points about the bad things about the United States, which I completely agree with. So, alright, so who do I think is going to win this match? The American Dream, Cody Rhodes, taking his dad's moniker for one night only for America versus the UK's Anthony Gogo. I am going to be going with Anthony Gogo, and this is a very special situation for Cody here because he is the one that took on this project of having the Olympic bronze medalist Anthony Gogo become a professional wrestler, and Cody is the one that him and QT. Cody used his special project, he said from the very start of AEW, that he wanted to train Anthony Gogo. So behind the scenes, you know, this has got to be very special for Cody and Gogo that they get to have this big match. It's his first big match. Because he's had a couple of squash matches to start off his career. And I'm going to be going with, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily an upset in what predictions could be, but I could say it's an upset, obviously, in experience. I'm going to be going with Anthony Gogo is going to defeat Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes doesn't necessarily have a great track record when it comes to pay-per-views for AEW. He loses most of the time. And I'm thinking that that's going to continue here. And Anthony Gogo is going to get, I mean, obviously the biggest win of his career, but a huge win in defeating Cody Rhodes. And Anthony Gogo is going to be getting the W. I don't know why I put my paper on the ground there. All right. So Anthony Gogo defeats the American Dream, Cody Rhodes, and hopefully an awesome match. I really hope that this year and a half that Gogo's been training with Cody has paid off, and that Gogo can become not only a great boxer that like he already is, but to become a very good wrestler. I'm hoping it's not fully like boxing his style. I can understand it, paying homage to his boxing career, but hopefully he has some cool wrestling athleticism as well. So yeah. All right, so then we got the next match. We have Hangman Adam Page versus the Machine Brian Cage. Hangman has got to be wanting some revenge here because Brian Cage and Team Taz tossed him a shot at the gold Pretty Platinum right here, the AEW World Championship. Hangman should be facing Kenny Omega for the World Championship. But we had Team Taz attacked Hangman before his match with Brian Cage on Dynamite, and Brian Cage, not necessarily an upset because he's a great wrestler, but no one really expected Brian Cage to beat Hangman. I was thinking it was a possibility, but I'm not going to lie and say that I expected it. So I thought it was a pretty cool surprise there. Brian Cage defeated Hangman and knocked him straight out of the #1 spot and tossed him a shot at the world title. So, and I think that this is going to be, with this rematch here, I think Hangman is going to get the win back, and he's going to be defeating Brian Cage in this matchup. I almost said for the World Championship, but it's not for a title. But I think Hangman's going to be getting up those rankings again, and he's going to defeat Brian Cage this time. So yeah, and maybe set up a grudge match, a third match would be pretty cool too in the future. All right, so this match, a big hoss fight up next. I'm very excited about this match. Miro versus Lance Archer for the AEW TNT Championship. And I need to get a replica of the belt. I love it. I need to find a good maker that makes that belt. Specifically, I really love the one with the red leather that Brody had. But anyway, so the TNT Championship, Miro and Lance Archer. Of course, there's the stuff with Sting and Darby and Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky. And of course, there's the kind of the weird relationship between Lance Archer and Sting, so he would help out with that. And when they caused that to happen, and then so he was kind of like somehow with a little bit of a relationship with Darby because Lance also, because he likes Sting, so then he wasn't too happy when Miro attacked Darby after the match. And so then he came out and he challenged him basically for the TNT Championship. That's kind of what there is to it. It's going to be an awesome big hoss fight. Miro versus Lance Archer. Both could really use this win. Miro is the TNT champion now. Of course, this is considering if he gets past Dante Martin tonight in Dynamite, which I think he will. So assuming Miro defeats Dante on Dynamite, I do believe that Miro is going to be defeating Lance Archer. It'd be an interesting thing, though, to see if Miro gets a short run, though, because I wouldn't be mad to see Lance Archer win the TNT Championship either. I would love it. I'm okay with this either way. Whoever wins this and becomes TNT champion at the end of this, whether it's Miro or Lance Archer, but I'm predicting it will be Miro as still your TNT champion. In a fantastic match that definitely will not make Lance Archer look weak. He's going to look strong still. It's going to be a great match. All right, we have number 7 on the card. We have the AEW Women's World Championship on the line with Hikaru Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I'm very happy for Shida that she's my favorite in AEW for the women's roster. I'm very happy that she finally gets to wrestle in front of a full crowd. She won the AEW Women's World Championship just over a year ago on May 23rd, 2020. It was during the first ever no fans in the crowd pay-per-view for AEW, and she won the Women's World Championship over from Nyla Rose. And now 1 year later, she's defending that belt against Britt Baker. I do think that she's going to be losing, unfortunately, in my eyes, because I love Shida, but I also love Britt Baker, too. I would love for Shida to get one successful defense in front of the full crowd, but I do think that this is the time where we're going to have a new AEW Women's World Champion, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is going to become the AEW Women's World Champion. So that's my prediction. We're going to have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, as the new AEW Women's World Champion in an awesome match. This goes back to when Shida broke her nose. Dr. Britt Baker is going by the rules of the rankings, wrestling on Dark Elevation, on Dynamite, and she made her way to the top of the rankings, and this is going to be an awesome match and could be possibly a match that can steal the show. Speaking of matches that can steal the show, we have ourselves Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, versus Jon Moxley and his Wild Thing brother, Eddie Kingston, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships being on the line, and another great belts that I would love to have someday. But I think this is going to be a fantastic match. We have two great singles wrestlers. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Eddie Kingston's past in tag team matches, but I know Jon Moxley's in a lot of tag matches with The Shield and specifically Seth Rollins. So I just think this is going to be a fantastic match. Young Bucks versus Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I think it's going to be a brutal, hard-hitting match. There's a lot of hate between each other, trying to break legs and all this crazy stuff, and just a lot of bad blood between these two teams. And I am predicting here, maybe a bold prediction, maybe not, because the Young Bucks are a great tag team here, have been great tag team champions, but I'm predicting we're going to be having new AEW World Tag Team Champions as Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston become the new World Tag Team Champions of All Elite Wrestling. So I do think that Eddie and Jon Moxley are going to be doing it, and I really, really hope that they come out with the Wild Thing theme song, and it's going to be pretty darn cool to hear that crowd singing theme song. Speaking of singing a theme song, I don't know if they're going to play this theme song or not, though, because it is Stadium Stampede. I can't remember if they did it last year, but anyways, Stadium Stampede is one of the coolest matches I've ever seen in my life last year at Double or Nothing 2020, May 23rd, when they had the Elite versus the Inner Circle. One of the coolest matches I've ever seen. Definitely by far, it's not even close, the best cinematic match I've ever seen in my entire life. But this time we're having the Inner Circle, or the baby faces, basically in this scenario, which is completely different from 1 year ago, versus the Pinnacle. Of course, MJF turned on the Inner Circle, and he surprised them when they thought they caught him. They surprised him when the lights came out, and he made his own faction that had been going on. They said they've been talking about this for a year happening, and they got the Pinnacle. So we have Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz, and Jake Hager of the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle's MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Wardlow, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler of FTR, and the chairman, Shawn Spears. So I love Shawn Spears. I think he's extremely underrated and could be a top heel in AEW if given the chance. So this is going to be a fantastic match. Both Tony Khan, Shawn Spears, and a lot of guys are saying this to be completely different from last year's. I don't know if that means maybe less comedy spots, although I love the comedy spots. They were hilarious with Matt Hardy specifically and Ortiz and all that. But I'm interested to see what's different about this. It's just the spectacle of them being in a stadium. The Jacksonville Jaguars stadium is just so cool to watch. and just to see all the different ideas that come, and the fact that it's obviously going to be a tape thing, a cinematic match, gives them so many opportunities to try and fail and try and succeed at different things and whatever they think looks really cool. And AEW has shown over the last 2 years that they know what to do that is awesome, especially in these cinematic matches. So who do I think is going to be winning this? Oh, almost forgot. The big thing here is the stipulation. Did I get any stipulations for other matches? No. But the big stipulation here is if the Inner Circle loses, they have to break up as a team. I'm assuming forever, maybe not. You never say never in wrestling. But, man, be crazy to think. I was there at the first ever AEW Dynamite when they came together as the Inner Circle, and Jake Hager showed up. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, Jack Swagger! Of course, I didn't know at the time he was going by Hager. But, man, it was insane. Sammy Guevara was there. Oh, my gosh, man. It was crazy to think. He was wearing those in that match against Cody in the first ever match in Dynamite. Sammy Guevara was wearing the Inner Circle gear without us even knowing what the Inner Circle was yet. So that was an interesting Easter egg there. But yeah, who do I think is going to win? I got to say the Inner Circle is going to win. I don't think this story's over yet. I just can't imagine the Inner Circle breaking up. They're the first faction ever in AEW history, and just, they're so darn good together, and I would love to see them continue. Definitely, I would say give Sammy Guevara a singles run, but I still want to see him be in a faction. Some people don't like how AEW has so many factions. I think the more the better. I'm a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I love that everything they do is based off of factions. I love that AEW has factions, that everything's based off of factions with them as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that. Just this match is going to be fantastic to see what they're going to do on the grass, on the field, up with other things. Maybe they'll mess with the Dippin' Dots, like JR likes to say. I love the Dippin' Dots. Don't mess with the Dippin' Dots, not the Dippin' Dots. But anyways, I think the Inner Circle is going to win this match so they can stay together, and then we'll have maybe a third special match between the Pinnacle and Inner Circle down the line. Maybe an All Out. We'll have to see. All right. Now we have Kenny Omega versus Pock versus Orange Cassidy in our main event for the most important championship belts in North American professional wrestling. In my opinion, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is the most important championship in all professional wrestling, but when it comes to North American professional wrestling, the AEW World Championship, in my opinion, is the most important championship in all of North American professional wrestling. All right, so AEW World Championship on the line. We have Kenny Omega versus Pock versus Orange Cassidy. This is their first ever three-way or triple threat, whatever you want to call it, match in AEW history for a world championship. So, for the top world championship at least. So I'm assuming the rules are going to be the same as a normal triple threat three-way match, where the first one to get a pin or a submission wins the match. So it's got to be, I would also assume, anything goes, because you can't really get disqualified unless it's one-on-one or a team versus two teams or one competitor. So I have to assume anything goes in this match, like a normal triple threat three-way match. Kenny Omega, Pock, and Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is the dark horse in this match, I would have to say, because he can sneak his way in with his laziness or his sneakiness to win that world championship. Pock is a phenomenal athlete, and I truly, truly want to see him as the AEW World Champion someday, because he, not only is he so underrated, but I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers in the entire industry. Like, I honestly think he is one of the best wrestlers in the world. I think he's possibly a top 2, top 3 wrestler in the entire company. And maybe I mean, he's just amazing. And I don't think he's had an opportunity to show it as much, especially except for when he wrestled Kenny Omega in the 30-minute Iron Man match. Phenomenal match. When he wrestled Kenny Omega All Out. Just all of these matches he could have as a world champion would be fantastic. But I don't think it's his time yet. So my prediction here, Kenny Omega is going to retain as the AEW World Champion. Now, a dream scenario, this is what would want to happen after the match. After Kenny Omega is announced as still your AEW All Elite Wrestling World Champion, one of two things happens, or gosh, blow my mind and have them both happen, but at least one of two things happens. Either we have Andrade from Lucha Libre AAA, who is facing Kenny Omega on August 14th for the Lucha Libre AAA Mega Campeonato, the Mega Championship that Kenny Omega has for Lucha Libre AAA. I would love to see him come out and attack Kenny Omega after the match. Or it's coming up even faster and earlier than that. We have on June 12th at Impact Wrestling's next Impact Special pay-per-view, Against All Odds. It's Moose versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship. And I would love to see Moose come out and attack Kenny Omega. Just either way, it would just make me so happy to see either one of these things happen. But if it doesn't happen, it's okay, as long as we have a fantastic match with Kenny Omega, Pock, and Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship. So I think this is going to be a fantastic card. We have 10 matches on the starting the NWA Women's World Championship match on the buy-in pre-show, which I think is a very smart move by AEW. I think people are going to see that match. It's going to be a fantastic match, and they're going to be wanting to buy the pay-per-view if they haven't already made that decision already. And so I think it was a smart move by putting that match on the card. And when it comes to the AEW buy-in pay-per-views or the buy-in pre-shows, it's not a bad thing to be on the pre-show at all. It means they have a lot of trust in you. So just to go over this really fast again, Serena Deeb will defeat Riho to retain the NWA Women's World Championship. The Casino Battle Royale, the Joker will be Paul White, but the winner of this match will be Powerhouse Hobbs to become the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky will defeat Darby Allin and Sting. Anthony Ogogo will defeat the American Dream Cody Rhodes. Hangman Adam Page will defeat the Machine Brian Cage. Miro will retain the TNT Championship over Lance Archer. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will become the new AEW Women's World Champion by defeating Hikaru Shida in her first defense in front of a full crowd. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston will defeat the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And Stadium Stampede in a fantastic spectacle of a match. The Inner Circle will stay together as a faction, and they defeat the Pinnacle. And then the main event, Kenny Omega versus Pock versus Orange Cassidy for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. Kenny Omega wins and is still the world champion. And I would love to see Andrade and or Moose show up and attack Kenny Omega after the match. All right, but anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments below what your guys' predictions are for AEW Double or Nothing. If you're excited about the show tonight, and I'm just for Dynamite, I'm just excited for AEW in general and wrestling in general. Just so many awesome things going on in the wrestling world, whether it's AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Lucha Libre AAA, NXT, NXT UK, NWA, just all these awesome things. All right, but anyways, love you guys so much, and I'll see all of your burrito lovers later. We don't want no ham and cheese. We just want burritos, please. Yeah, AEW, AEW.